The first one's called That One Song. There are those days when you've eaten the last of the Pop-Tarts and washed them down with the last beer, and there's not a goddamn thing left in your fridge. You're hungry and pissed, and the overwhelming sense of gloom and graveyard doom comes a-creepin'. The walls start talking, hissing insults your way and choosing whether or not to come crashing down on your silly little head. Your pillows feel like bricks and tick, 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 tick time bombs that may go off and splatter brain matter all over the headboard. You try starting 13 different books to shake off and distract from that pain of the sick life, but none of them stick. And when the so-called friends won't text you back, and the panic of the dark starts to settle into chilled bones, and the world starts to tilt into a pointless blank, and just when hope is snuffed out, strangled out of your head by the dead ones, you find that one song you listened to 100 times after your brother died, and you turn it on all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, until it becomes a prayer, a deliverance from the dark. This one's called The Queen of Scars and Patience. And you and I, the cauldron-wet women, met draped in tree trunks and thickets, and came out of swamps from across all nations, many moons before the serpent's birth. More magic whispers with wind and rain rumbles, less cement and oil blood back then. And no, fucking rethink those sting tiger lashing words coming out of your mouth. Don't dare feign understanding our goddamn storm, raging and reigning within those golden monster souls. Don't you feel it too? He plays his corporate clinical circus games, but we witches, bird in centuries past, dance wildly with the ancients, speaking in tongues that humans don't even remember, embodying our full creative kundalini power. I get off from burning to fucking ash now, just like you do, orgasming out of a phoenix again, my dear. 'Tis a pleasure. I'm the queen of scars and patience. This one's untitled. When I sit at 2 a.m. eating a family-sized pack of M&Ms, it almost feels forbidden to eat so much that it almost makes me sick. To think so fast my body lines blur, to be too deep in it, that messy glory wasteland with her howling angels, to stay up so late I forget what month it is, to remember what family feels like, all 5 of us, sitting at the picnic table in the fall when the wind whips around you, listening to NPR on the radio, laughing together as the leaves fall down, mixing with the gravel and the sunshine. How could I have known that even though I loved the snow, the move to cold Minnesota was the start to the end of family? I cut off all my hair in scraggles at 3 a.m. with a rusty pair of old scissors that my Nana used to cut crisp and neat with when I was young, and now scraping clumps of hair off my head with the dull pieces of metal the summer after my dad died, and I missed him. And my mom yelped at the sight when I came down to breakfast in the morning. And then a few years later, I smoked 6 cigarettes outside in the depths of the dark, having paced around the hospital room for so long I was forming a trail of sunken floor with my heavy feet, waiting for my twin flame brother to wake up after his first brain surgery, as the doctors ripped out as much of the tumor as they could, even then, knowing that this road would end in tears, and for me, my worst fears being right, doing it all, running round and round so as to feel nothing, sitting at the window, looking out at the blackbird, perched in her tree branches, outside my bedroom at 11 in the morning, when I held Jordan's hand and whispered over and over, I love you, I love you, Can you hear me? I love you. Until he died in my hands with a sigh. This one's called String Theories. Breath. The Sphinx got weary of always being the mysterious deep one, so she slumped off to the nearest pub and drank herself silly in the middle of the afternoon, which she knew her mother wouldn't approve of, but well, she adheres to no one, and she liked it that way. Breath. I drank orange juice and thought back to death. Standing in my kitchen on a Wednesday morning, raiding my fridge and laughing as she watched two red birds squabble over the bird bath. She saw through my pathetic attempts at small talk, but she would still not tell me why she was there. Just kept showing up in my kitchen every morning, eating everything in my house and laughing to herself. Breath. And don't you hate it when the batteries go out of a thing just as you need it? Though seems to me every moment is chaos and light, and every Facebook status was some sort of wild call to this new morphing man. Breath. Sometimes I stare out the window and I wish you weren't dead. Yet all of a sudden, with a rush of wind in my face, I believe that we connect to each other. String theory vibrations bumping into other string theory vibrations. Resonating together, creating music.
Woo.
Woo. This is the last one. It's kind of like a weird poetry flash prose anomaly. It's called Cheers. Cheers to the mayhem misfits. The fuck-ups, the freaks howling naked at the moon, the weary empaths, the waking witches, the artists staring into the dark night which seems to last a lifetime. The magicians carving out space for themselves, the ones who wanted to give up, almost given up, and yet for some fire force within are still here, stomping the ground, creating new pathways to a heaven on earth not yet discovered. It's been a hell of a week. It's been a hell of a year. It's been a goddamn hell of a life. But I raise my glass to you and I, to the talented survivors that we are. Cheers, lovers and lovelies. Thanks, guys.